For New York State Bar Association President Sharon Gerstman, Election Day offers an opportunity to make fundamental changes to the state constitution. Assuming the voters who come out Tuesday want it to happen. She and the bar are strongly in favor of holding a constitutional convention. The convention we're operating under was written in 1894, and it was last amended in any significant way in 1938, Gerstman said. Unlike the U.S. Constitution, which is a pretty lean document and was meant to endure for the ages, the New York State Constitution is 52,000 words. It was meant to be amended, redressed or rewritten for every generation. We haven't done that in 80 years, and we think it's time. Holding a constitutional convention could be a long shot come Election Day. According to the latest Siena College Research Institute survey, 57% of likely voters opposed the idea, while 25% say they'll vote for the measure. Accordingly, 60% of voters say nothing will get done if such an event is held. The state constitution gives voters a chance every 20 years to vote for a convention, where they would choose 204 delegates to gather in Albany and to make changes to the constitution. Voters have rejected the idea twice since the last convention in 1967, and they rejected the changes that convention proposed. The world was very different in 1938, said Gerstman, adding that the state has archaic voting issues and a Byzantine court system. The Bar Association has tried with no success to get the state legislature to make changes to the court system. She said there are 11 trial courts in New York. The inefficiency of 11 different trial courts costs New Yorkers between $500 million and $600 million, she said. We think that it's time to address all these issues by a convention because the legislature, for whatever reason, will just not address them. Trending. Career and workplace. Here are 95 occupations that pay better in WNY than the nation. Residential real estate. How does your home compare to others in your neighborhood? Coming event. 40 Under 40 Celebration 2017. December 1. The court issue doesn't just affect lawyers, she added. It has an impact on real people. For instance, a domestic violence victim might have to go to 3 different courts in order to get the matter fully resolved. They may have to go to criminal court for any charges that may be pending there, and family court for an order of protection or custody issues, she said. If that person ultimately wants divorce, they have to go to Supreme Court for that. The opposition is wide-ranging, as many special interest groups are focused on the current system, or at least have a fear of upending the usual legislative process. An opposition group called New Yorkers Against Corruption was formed and includes Planned Parenthood, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association and more. But perhaps the most powerful group is public employees, who fear the loss of worker protections and pensions. They said a constitutional convention could open the door for out-of-state interests that oppose unions. The biggest concern from members is about public pensions being attacked, said Keith Jacques, leader of the labor practice at Lipsmith IS Wexler Friedman LLP. Unions are under attack nationally, and these rights could come under attack in New York in the face of a constitutional convention. He represents the New York State Correctional Officers and Police Benevolent Association, which has more than 29,000 active and retired members. Jacques said the union has actively engaged membership on the issue and sees the message beginning to take hold. We are starting to see a more coordinated effort and more support for a no vote, he said. Hopefully that momentum will continue. Advocates say a constitutional convention is the state's best chance to deal with intractable issues such as gerrymandered legislative districts and an inefficient court system. Christopher Bobst, Chief Legal Officer and Financial Officer of Samsung Logistics in Buffalo, said the idea that a convention would take away worker rights or compensation is fear-mongering that distracts from the real concern, which is the loss of a well-funded legislative apparatus that serves their interests. Bobst said most of the groups leading the charge for a convention have a history of protecting the rights of employees and minorities, such as the State Bar Association and League of Women Voters. You have a very progressive state that voted for Hillary Clinton by about 22.5 points over Donald Trump, he said. We are not going to turn into Mississippi or Kansas and start taking away the things that most New Yorkers support. Bobst was formerly a constitutional and litigation partner at Goldberg Segalla in Buffalo. He has worked closely on the issue with another local expert, Peter Galey, professor emeritus and former chairman of the Siena College Department of Political Science. They co-authored several books on the state constitution. Get more of the latest business news from Buffalo Business First. Get access. There are serious structural issues in the state that need reform, and I don't believe that reform is going to come from the state legislature, Bobst said. There is systemic corruption, which is why you're not going to see issues like term limits and independent redistricting commissions. They're not going to limit their own power. Despite the polls, Gerstman said her association will continue to work to educate citizens on what a convention could mean. We're trying our best by pure education, she said. We're going to work to the bone. We're deeply committed to the convention being our best chance to fix these problems, and hopefully we're able to convince enough of our citizens to trust the citizens and trust the electorate to get it right.